So, considering yesterday's video, I would think I would try and act on the resolve that, I had. And how I was going to make sure that, these next 100 days aren't going to end as poorly as this past 100 days. Well, after giving it some thought, I have an idea. But before I get into that, let's get into my low, my high, my active kindness. So, obviously my low was that I kind of wish the state of my being addressed wanted being a little bit better in terms of how I felt, overall, and how I could have elaborated, my feelings. Oh, actually, I did elaborate on my feelings. I did, but, I could have, I just wish that it was on a happier note, My high was I actually got to talk things over with both my father and my grandmother. Gave me some really great advice. And it was a real pick-me-up. So that's great. And, my act of kindness was I got to help out my grandmother in any way I could. She wanted stuff done, and I got it done. So with that said, good morning. Happy Saturday, everyone. And let's get these next 100 days underway. So, what is my resolve? Well, believe it or not, it actually didn't dawn on me until I literally woke up this morning. Because when I really do think about it, the previous 100 days had more good days than bad days. It's just unfortunate that the bad days, or most of them, or the ones that I can remember, happen near the end. Because now all I'm going to do is think about how it ended rather than how it was overall. It's just like watching a movie with a good movie that has a bad ending. Like the bad ending winds up ruining what's otherwise a good movie. Same basic principle. So I actually have two goals in mind. Obviously, the first, if you couldn't already tell, is make sure you have any bad days away from the end. Because you're going to have bad days throughout, in a time period of 100 days, you're going to have some bad ones. Absolutely. The question is, since you can't really predict the future, how many and how often? So, my other goal is try and have 51 good days. Why 51? Well, if any of you are familiar with business, or actually, if you watch Shark Tank, you probably know where I'm going with this. When you own a business or a company, the magic number is 51 because percentages are based on, a scale of 0 to, 100. And half of 100 is 50. Therefore, more than the lowest possible number that's higher than 50 is 51. Well, technically, it would be like 50 point however many zeros in the number one. But we're not doing semantics here. I'm not going to base any sort of my days on percentages of good or bad. I won't do that. It's either good or bad, and that's all there is to it. Now, obviously, in the time it took me to get dressed, get my apartment clean, everything, I thought over how I would go about, critiquing this. And so, for starters, if I feel that my low legitimately outweighs both my high and my active kindness, I will consider that a bad day. Examples of what could happen is, just this past week, I got into, I got in arguments with my parents. That's bad. That's real bad. Or if I really wanted to go extreme, someone in my family sadly passes on. Like that's bad. That is legitimately bad. Because under those circumstances, I don't think anything would make me feel better. Even if it or an act of kindness is gonna outweigh what just happened. So there's that. And I'm gonna be legitimately certain like why it's bad. Like, here's an example. More often than not, you're gonna have a day where the weather is just plain awful. Maybe it's too hot, or it's rainy, or if this was winter time, it'd be really, really snowy and the roads are slick. Here's the thing. Weather can be bad, but in the grand scheme of things, I really do find it as more of a very, very mild inconvenience, for the most part. I mean, maybe a bad day could be caused by weather, but I honestly never really... It's been a long time since I legitimately considered, weather being a bad day. I mean, just the other day, I said I was like 95% of the way to having like the perfect day. And it was rainy, so that's where that 5%, comes from. Like, so, again, I'm not going to make percentages like that. And that was just for like a perfect day. I'm not looking for perfect. I'm just looking for good. And 95% of a perfect day is still pretty good. And again, I will never legit try for a perfect day. Because again, and I literally just said this a week ago, today could be the perfect day, and I wouldn't know until it was over. So there's that. If I feel like both my high and my act of kindness outweigh my low, yeah, I'll have it be a good day. I'll definitely consider it a good day. Honestly, the low, high act of kindness, the way I usually do it, because I do the low first, it really should be more like a sandwich where you have either the low, either the act of kindness or the high would be like one of the pieces of bread, the low would be like in between the pieces of bread, and whatever I don't use would be the other piece of bread. Although I wind up doing the low first, so it's really more like an open-faced sandwich. So, all in all, I've got two major goals in mind at least for these next 100 days. I mean, if I legit pay attention to things, I could probably give you a rough estimate as to how many good days there are and how many bad days there are. But right now, my goal is 51 good days. And obviously, any more good days than that is, a stretch goal. And of course, obviously, in a perfect world, all 100 days from here until the end are going to be good. That's not going to happen, though. I know for a fact it's not going to happen. In fact, I can guarantee you at least 10 days are going to be bad. At least 10. In fact, one of them may very well be because, it'll be the first day where, our cottage at Cuca Lake is closed and therefore we can't go to Cuca Lake anymore. I love going to Cuca Lake. I know yesterday I said that being up there is kind of boring, but it's the sort of boring where I just gotta, for lack of a better word, nut up and shut up and just enjoy it for what it is. So, there you go. Any other bad days I could think of that could potentially happen? Well, if I really wanted to be incredibly shallow about it and nitpicky, I would say, because let's be honest, I actually should have said this yesterday, but in these next 100 days, football season is going to start. So I can't wait for that. If I really wanted to be nitpicky, I would say that a bad day would be if my Cowboys lost. Of course, I'm going to be a little more open. I'll be a little more open to it, though. Like, I'll be sad my Cowboys lose, and that will definitely be my low. But I'm not going to have it complete. But I'll try not to let that ruin my day. Like, in the same way I won't have bad weather ruin my day. You know, like, because some things in your life you just can't control. Absolutely not. I mean, I can't control the weather. I can't control if my favorite team wins or loses. You know, I can't control, you know, the passage of time. I can't control if someone else passes on. I can't control any of that. You know, I really do legitimately have to take one day at a time. And that's okay. It may not be glamorous, and absolutely there are days where I won't like that at all. But it's a part of life, and you gotta live with it. So, with all that said, what would yesterday be considered? Because I really do wish that the state of my being address was better. Just internally, obviously, the fact that, you know, I was feeling good overall. And again, because of the way it ended, you know, I was feeling, you know, kind of down. I would still consider that it was good. Because if nothing else, the state of my being address gives me an opportunity to elaborate on my feelings a little bit, and I felt that I accomplished that. As well as I said earlier, you know, I talked things over with my dad, and, you know, my grandmother gave me some really good advice, which picked me right back up. Gosh, I love my grandma. Needless to say, should that day ever come, you bet that's going to be a bad day. I'd rather not get into that, but it would be. I guarantee you that. So, if I ever have a bad day, I'll definitely, you know, be honest about that sort of thing. And if I feel like it's sort of private and personal, I won't really go into that, because some things I really shouldn't say out loud in public about my personal life. I'll be honest, there's still things that are personal that I still haven't really talked about. But, you know, that's on me, and if I want to talk about it, I will. I mean, we live in the days of the internet and social media. I'm technically free to do and say whatever I want within reason. You know, some things are just too wrong to say, even if they're for good intentions, maybe. Oh, not that I have anything that's so incredibly wrong for that, but still, I'm just listing an example here. So, go for 51 or more good days. And if you have any bad days, don't have them near the end. That's the big takeaway from it. So 51 good days or more, and make sure it's good near the end. Because, you know, like, yeah, some days are going to be bad, but try and, you know, sprinkle them, you know, here and there or whatever. You know, part of me was kind of thinking as I was, you know, going over what I'd say today, like, what if I have like 90 plus good days? I'll be going into my state of my being address feeling pretty darn good when it's over. And then the next 100 days winds up being what this previous one was. I am going to be so bummed. Or I'll be bummed, like, or better yet, what if I have like 90 plus good days and like I decide, you know, I'm gonna continue doing this. I'm gonna continue doing this, and then I never reach that golden magic number of 90 or more ever again. I'm gonna feel legitimately bummed for that. But honestly, that's more of a bummed where I'm like, well, like a mild inconvenience sort of bummed. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's a bit of a downer, but I can get over that. Because, again, sometimes my low can be so incredibly mild that I can brush it off and move on. And when it's all said and done, come 100 days from now, and I really do think about what I said today, maybe I'll be able to brush that off too. But until then, I can just simply say that I am very humble that I made this video for all of you guys to watch and enjoy for today. I hope we all have a wonderful wonderful Saturday. And remember, if any of you guys want to talk or chat, I'm always going to be here to lend an ear. I'll always have your back. Take care. Make good choices. And you know what I have to say? 1 down and 50 to go. You know, full disclosure, I actually learned the whole 51% thing from watching the original series of Yu-Gi-Oh! The magic number is 51. Which, fun fact, 51 is a factor of 3, and 3 is a magic number. Okay, fine. I'll do it. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30. See ya.